I'm going to say good morning. And there we are. We're live. I had a really, interesting week, and I had a couple of things happen that are so worth talking about. Just so worth talking about. I can't begin to tell you. First of all, is it raining where you are? Oh my goodness. There are people down the street, I'm sure, who are planning on building an ark soon. It's crazy. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about today was not fame or Vicarious, both of which are available on Amazon. Not that I'm pitching. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about today was the things that we reach out to because they're like a stepping stone. They're things that take us from what's going on, and like little stepping stones across a pond. They take us someplace where, hey, good morning, Charles. Nice to see you. Stepping stones take us across little ponds. They're like bridges. And for me, books, not only because I love to read them, but I really love to write them, they give me an opportunity to go someplace else without actually having to leave, if you know what I mean. They let me focus on something else, focus on somebody else's trials and tribulations, or funny stories, or astonishing events, so that I get a break from mine. Not that I'm running away from them, my own stuff, but that I get a chance to kind of clear my head a little bit. Sort of a form of escape, I guess, but more to me like a break, like the commercial in a show. And I was thinking about this a lot last week when I was having my altercation with the people who didn't think that UCAN on television had enough enduring appeal that anybody would want to see a tribute to it at a museum for children's entertainment. They're there. So I thought, okay, so those people who didn't get it, who didn't grasp what we were and what we meant to people, they just have different stepping stones. We all have something that just gives us that permission to pause, because we all have stuff. We have things happen. Charles just posted that he cracked a tooth or something. It's just those are the small annoyances that really overshadow all the really big good stuff, because they're an inconvenience, and it's painful, and it's going to be expensive and all that. So when we have something that we can rely on, and hopefully one of the things that you're relying on are my videos, we look forward to them. We welcome them because they give us wings. They give us an opportunity to go someplace else and consider something else for a change. It's a refresh. It's a think about this and then come back and look at the old thing with new eyes. And so that was all in my head, because I'm of course working on this book collection, the Pivotry in Motion book collection. And I decided to go out for dinner on Saturday night, give myself a bit of a treat. And there's this lovely, very boutique-y small restaurant very near me, and the food is amazing, and the couple who own it are wonderful. And one of the people I see not very often is the I always look forward to your vids. Oh, thank you, Charles. I always look forward to seeing your comments. One of the people who occasionally goes to this little restaurant is the former owner of a grocery store. And you know how, in different parts of the country, they're called different things, but they're a chain. And there's this chain in Eastern Canada called IGA, and it stands for Independent Grocers Association. So they're a loose collection of independent owners who work under an umbrella. And because there's an umbrella of many of them, they can buy their stuff at that discounted price. And this fellow was in the business for his whole life. And prior to that, his dad was in the grocery business his whole life. And in fact, this man, his first part-time job was stocking the shelves and straightening the carts and wiping and cleaning and all that kind of stuff, so that he understood everything about the business from the inside out. And one day, gosh, it's maybe 5 years ago now, he and his wife came in for dinner, and I happened to be there that night. And he said, "So I've made a big decision. I'm selling the store." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "It's time. It's time for me. I did my best to find somebody who's had the experience and obviously had the money to buy it. But I looked for somebody who understood that this is a very close knit community, and the people here." Um, Good morning, Karen. I know, 89 subscribers, right? This man, I'm just talking, Karen, about this acquaintance of mine who used to own a local IGA, and he was saying that it was time for him to move on. It was time for him to do something else, and he knew it was time when the job he'd done his whole life no longer excited him. When he woke up in the morning and he was having to go to work, as opposed to waking up in the morning and heading off to work. He said, I want to leave while I still have good feelings about it. And I can afford to. And I said, "Well, then you're a wiser man than many, and good for you, and congratulations." So an interesting thing happened. That was 4 or 5 years ago. And I saw him this Saturday. He and his wife came in. It was their anniversary. And, he sort of stopped when he saw me. And I, was surprised when I saw him, because I haven't been going out to restaurants regularly. And they, I gather, hadn't been around. And he said, "Well, how are you?" And I said, "I am well. And how are you?" And he said, "It's our anniversary." And I looked at her and I said, "Madame, you have the greatest patience." And she said, "Oh, he's really lovely." And I said, "I know you're saying that because he's right there." And so anyway, we were laughing and having a good time about this whole change of life thing. And but then he lingered, because we like to chat about careers a little bit. And I said, I want to tell you something. I'm not flattering you, but you look younger. You do. You look younger. There's less tightness in the muscles. You look younger." And he said, "Thank you, thank you." He said, and I said, "No, this is not. We're not trading compliments here. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about what appears to be reflecting from the inside out. How are you?" And he said, I am so glad I made the decision, because he said it took him a while to get, his rhythm, his balance, because he started to do something else. And he said, I was uncertain at first about the success I was going to have. I wasn't uncertain about the decision I made, but I was uncertain how long it was going to take me to step into the new rhythm and pace. And he said, because it does take time, when you stop doing something you've done your whole life. And he said, "I feel better. I sleep better. I don't drink as much. My temper is better. My mood is better. I'm drinking more water. Good morning, Freddie. How wonderful to see you. Sorry, I'm a little late. The computer had some hiccups. Believe me, computer hiccups, I get you. Me last week. Oh my gosh. So I'm talking about this friend of mine, Freddie, who quit his job, left his career. And Charles, sorry, I just want to read this. "I'm so amazed. So clear, the audio and video on YouTube is so much better." Well, thank you. You can see me and hear me now. Before I was just that kind of shadow in the fog. Here I am. So this lovely man said, there has been a distinct change in business ownership in the last 3 or 4 years. And he said, I made the decision because I had used up all of my enthusiasm for the job. And I knew that there was no way I could refill the tank without doing something significant, something different, something that gave me something new to look forward to. And and he said, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I said, and how is it? And he said, it's funny though. He said, I still get together regularly with a handful of friends of mine who also owned businesses, and still some of them still own businesses. And there's a really distinct shift in everything in commercial enterprise. And I said, what is that? And he said, it's difficult to find people to come and work. And I said, really? Is it the pay? And he said, not always. And he said, sometimes. He said, a friend of his owns, a fast food chain. And he said, he's had to hire out of the country. He's had to go abroad to get people to come and work. And he said, and there's no guarantees. You pay them a down payment, they come and they can leave. And then you're out the money and you still need the workers. And I said, so then why are they leaving? And he said, none of us really know. Not only do we not know why they're leaving, we don't know where they're going, because a lot of them are unskilled. A lot of them are people who need the minimum wage jobs because they don't have any training. They don't have any experience of any significance. So they have to start somewhere. And I said, so what is everybody doing? And he said, well, he said, in terms of the grocery stores, he said, I predict that in not too long, maybe 5 years at the most, they won't be open on Sundays in some of the smaller cities, because there just aren't the people who are willing to come in and work. And I said, well, what about the population? Do you think there are fewer people now that maybe the baby boom was the big and everything happened, all the schools that opened and all the housing builds and all the big vans and all the health clubs and all, like, everything that the baby boomers did created a kind of a wave. And he said, yeah, that's certainly significant. But the generation following the baby boomers is sizable. And the generation following them, he said, when you think of the decades, the boomers were 1946 to 64. And then, you had Gen X, and then you had Gen Y. All of these different generations, while they are smaller in population, the cumulative effect is still everybody buys groceries, everybody stops for a coffee, everybody needs shoes. So where are the people who work in those places who need those things too? Where have they gone? Why have they gone? And I want to read this now. Garen is saying, left construction a really well-paying job for your sanity, you see? And Charles is saying, we can't keep people to work there. Yes, Charles had to work 16 hours last night. And your job is so simple, but you need boots on the ground, right? You need bodies to be doing the work. So I looked it up. Search engines are our friends. And I suddenly realized I was reading the exact same thing that my friend had said about himself. It's exactly the same thing. Something happened that caused people to say, wait a minute, why am I doing this? I don't even like it anymore. And you know what happened? There was a pandemic. There was a downturn in the economy. There was a shift in the way people talk to each other. There was a more aggressive way that opposing views were expressed. And with the uncertainty of the lockdown, people were worried, losing loved ones, working long shifts like Charles just yesterday, frontline workers, first responders, and there didn't seem to be an end to it. There didn't seem to be, oh, I can see the horizon, it's over there. It just seemed to be going on and on and on. And people began to hit their personal walls. And I think what happened, if I'm right about this, and I think it's part of the conversation that some of us have been having in putting together this Pivotry in Motion book collection, I think people said, my comfort zone is starting to pinch. It's not as comfortable as it used to be. It's becoming my discomfort zone. And people who were saying, it's not that bad. No, I'm fine. It's not that bad. Listen, it's good enough. Okay? It's really, and then all of a sudden one day, no, it wasn't. It was that bad. It wasn't good enough. All of a sudden one day, people were saying, you know what? I deserve something. I deserve something better. So I'm just reading again. Karen's saying, because I'm not independently wealthy, I have to work. But when it's over, it's over. I don't have to bring it home. Well said, Karen. Very well said. And I think a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are saying, I don't need this grief. A lot of again, doing the search engine thing, I was reading that a lot of people, what they're having issues with, okay, possibly the money, possibly the limits to potential advancement. But the biggest complaint that had been registered in one of these studies was the management who didn't seem to care. The management who wasn't listening. The management who said, you don't like it? Move along. The days when, I'm about to sound like my grandparents, the days when people held one job for their entire lives, and when they retired, they got a gold watch, are stories that our grandparents tell us. The days when you were told that if you saved your money, there was this whole campaign in Canada called Freedom 55. And the idea was you get insurance and you put your money away. And at 55, you can retire early because retirement age is usually, or was back in the day, 60 or 65. A lot of people now are going back. They realize they didn't save enough money and they can't afford it. They can't afford to live. So you've got seniors in their 70s going back and getting these part-time jobs. They're greeters at those big chain discount stores. Okay, it's something for them to do, and it's something that puts extra money in the bank, and it's something that they can possibly look forward to rather than just sitting at home and staring out the window. The thing is, I think what people forgot, and it's easy to do, it's so easy to do, they forgot that you're supposed to be living your life. They forgot that you're supposed to take time, small bits, to smell the roses, to laugh and smile and say hello, instead of grimly, like those donkeys that push those stone mills, those grist mills, and never looked up. We're not beasts of burden. We were never meant to be beasts of burden. We're clever and we're creative and we're sympathetic and we're compassionate. And we have things to share and we have stories to tell. And when we get together, it's a reunion. It's a coming back to what we love. Those things matter. Garen is saying, I worked construction, drove a rig, picked up garbage on a side loader, had a reno company, worked in residential housing, and figured out that my time is more important. My time, and Garen is talking about his quality time. Time to be with the people you love, time to breathe is valuable to us. When you love to surf, I can't surf. I tried surfing once, and the surfer who thought I was cute at the beginning of the exercise was fed up with me by the end of the day because I kept falling off the back of the board, and the board would go up in the air and then float into the beach, and he'd have to go get it. I'd be out there spluttering. It's hopeless. I knew then that there are breaks between the waves. I know why there are breaks between the waves. I know that when the energy goes, woof, it has to retreat. It has to fall back and get new forces, get more molecules, get more energy, more water to build it up, to come back, to say, hi, how you doing? We're back. And we are the same. We need to remember that we need to lean in and then fall back, and lean in and fall back. We need to, smile at people and say, lovely day, love your hat. We need to let people go ahead of us instead of marshaling through and shoving them aside. I never tried surfing. The closest thing was snow tubing. Charles, here's the thing about surfing. It's brief moments of exhilaration followed by a great deal of work. Working in radio is much the same. You're on. Okay, now we're off. Song's playing. Everything about having permission, giving ourselves permission. Freddie, I'm just figuring out what I want to do. Freddie, the things that you are capable of doing are remarkable. And I know that anything you choose is going to be amazing. Really, really. So, talking about what is it that we want and what is it that we do between the waves, between the frantic tap dancing. Have you ever watched a dog trying to walk on the ice? I had a dog trying to balance himself on a waterbed once. And when I watched him, I thought, oh my God, that's me almost all the time. Frantic, frantic, frantic. Between those frantic moments, we all do this. We reach for a memory. We reach for a moment that made us smile. I call them stepping stones across the pond. Because, we're on this side, we have to get to that side. But in between, we have these moments that we can just be us, be ourselves. And, some of those stepping stones are the things that bring back great memories, the smell of the ocean. My God, we used to go to Florida every winter when I was a kid. And I swear, the combination of coconut flavored suntan lotion and the ocean and the palm trees and just that oh God, we would be in the car. I'm like 7 or 8 years old, and we would start to open the windows and you just smell it and you think, oh, we're back. And things like that, walking down the street next to a bakery when I was in my teens. And you smell the bread baking, and you want to go in and buy 7,000 loaves of bread. It's not really the bread; it's the aroma that you take in, right? Watching your favorite TV show, listening to your favorite songs, putting on your favorite winter sweater. When the weather turns up in the north, it's hot, it's muggy, it's hot, it's muggy. Oh, there's a little Christmas. Oh, there's a Christmas in the air. Ooh, any minute now, it'll be cool enough that I can wear my favorite winter sweater. Yes. and you put that sweater on, you think, oh yeah, because it's part of all the feel goods that we store back here, right? And I was thinking to myself, the the feel good that people have when they go to a casino and they're remembering the last time they played something and boing and they won. Wow. They want to go back and have that feeling again. The anticipation, the what if, the actual winning, that's fairly fabulous too. But it's the anticipation that we're remembering, the lead up to it and the surprise. And, we're going there to have that fill up our heads instead of that so and so at work, instead of this thing that's wrong with that. It gives us an escape. And I was thinking in amongst the conversation with my friend, the grocery store owner, and my friends who are looking at retirement, and the people I know who have decided not to go back to work because of the toll it took during COVID, and all the people who are wondering why. I tried to go to one of those fast food places to sit down and have breakfast. The store was closed. You could only go through the drive-through. It was on a Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. They had no staff. A friend of mine went to get his hair cut. The place was closed. They had no staff on that day. So they were working shorter hours because people weren't showing up to do the job. Where are they? They've gone someplace else to try something new. They not only want to feel the excitement again that they used to feel, the way my friend who owned the grocery store did, but they also want the excitement of being a friend to someone new, of making fresh connections and discovering what we have in common, starting all over again. That's very exciting. I did that my whole life as a military kid. Every year or so, I get to be somebody completely new. I get to find out, so who are you? And where are you from? Oh, you have a dog. Yeah, we don't have a dog now, but we used to have a dog. Having those first conversations, it's like a beginning romance, the first kiss, the first time you hold hands, the first when the phone rings. Oh, it's we need that. We need something that allows us to feel that again. And and I mean, we need it in our relationships, we need it in our homes, we need it in what we're eating. You if you can afford it. After 2 or 3 days of eating my own cooking, I want to order in something because I I'm actually a better cook than I pretend, but I'm not a great cook, and I don't really, cooking. Yay! so so you want something different, you want variety, you want to feel like you have to try harder because this is new and they don't know you, and you have to make a good first impression again. Those things are exciting, they're fun. And the moment that happened at FanaticCon this past August, when people I had become friends with on social media said, I'm coming and I'm going to meet you, I'm going to see you, I want to hug, I want to come to your booth, I want to see you in person. And then they came, and you turn around because busy, 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 turn around, you say, well, hello. And they're saying, oh my God, you look exactly like you. So do you. Really fun, really fabulous. And I think that the beauty of that it's possible, escapes us. We kind of get into a rut. We start doing the same old. We take things for granted. I'm not talking about waking up with gratitude, although that doesn't hurt. I'm talking about relationships require constant polishing. My dad, well, you never knew my dad, but oh my goodness. My dad used to say, all relationships are like race cars. If you take really good care of them, they go like hell. The corners are exciting. The straightaways are amazing. The sound of that motor. But you got to take care of them because they're finicky. Race cars. They're like racehorses. They're finely tuned. If you don't take care of them, they won't run. And then all you've got is a lawn ornament. He told me that when he arranged for my first mode of transportation when we were overseas. He got me a scooter, a Lambretta, that somebody had souped up. And he thought it was going to be a nice, safe little, thing for me to go around France. People in France, many people don't have cars. They have little mopeds, little put-put-puts. Mine went a little faster. And it was, and the thing about a scooter or Lambretta is that you could, I could go to school wearing a skirt, and we had to at a military school, because you can just slide in on a scooter and you can put your feet in front of you. You don't have to, straddle it like a wild stallion. But the thing is that the previous guy had souped it up, so it went really fast. I could beat any of the kids who had motorcycles. I'll see you there. And my dad said, there's a trick about riding two wheels. You got to lean in. You got to lean into the curves. This matters. Flexing matters. That's important. The other thing you have to remember is that it's just you. It's just you and the beast. There's no protective bubble around you. It means you have to be alert. You have to watch all the time because the cars are faster than you and they're hard when they hit. And they hit very suddenly and you don't win. So the thing about that conversation, what he was saying was, we all, always, every day, have an opportunity to rethink the way people like us do things like this. We have the opportunity to say, I'm not having a very nice time. Well, why don't you change it? Because people like us have always done it this way. Well, have they all been miserable too? Yeah. Okay. Are you listening to you? Well, it's a lot of work to change. Yes, but are you happy? No. So? And these are hard decisions that we're all making. Hard decisions. Some of them were really thrust on us in a shocking way with COVID. We didn't see it coming. And then we didn't know when it was leaving. Another scenario that's happening with more and more frequency is the extreme weather we're getting. And for my really lovely, wonderful friends down south, the hurricanes and the tornadoes and the flooding and the fires, these are things that in a heartbeat can change the conversation. I was reading an article just before we started this lovely visit. And good morning, by the way, to anybody who's just joined me. Everyone going into a crisis thinks it won't be that bad. Almost everyone. And this article that I was reading was written by a woman who, she and her husband had lost their home in one of the hurricanes a few years ago. It was a one story, it was a bungalow, and there was nowhere that they could go. They didn't think there was going to be a lot of water. They thought 2 or 3 inches, and they went and stayed with friends. They lost everything. The flooding and the water entered the house and stayed. And when they came back, they had to wear protective suits, and there was mold, and their treasures, their books were just mush. Their furniture, their clothing, their prized possessions, garbage, all of it gone. And I was reading that article and I thought, I talk a lot about the cave brain. and how, as primitive people, we lived in caves for safety. And our feeling that, if we got the cave's got our back, it's got our sides, it's above us and below us, all we have to do is defend the front. That was a really smart place to be. Unless, of course, you chose a cave that already had a bear in it, in which case, not so much. But if you have a cave and it has been safe for generations, and all of a sudden the climate shifts and the winds change and the waters rise, the cave could be dangerous. The cave could not be your safety zone. It might be time, in advance of the next crisis, to wonder, if we lose this, what will we do? What can we do instead? We don't have the energy to ask ourselves those questions in a calm and kind of excited, curious way, as opposed to a panicky way. If we're tired, if we're exhausted, if we hate the job we're in. And I think that the opportunity to give ourselves a breather, to give ourselves time to breathe, to focus on the things, make a list. What is it that makes you smile? What are your stepping stones? What do you reach for that makes you say, oh yeah? What little hobby do you have, or habit do you have, or ritual do you have that makes you say, you know what? I deserve this. They are important because they are your way of saying, we got this. We got this. If I can do this, we got this. And I think we need to do more of that. I know that it initially occurred to me when we did the FanaticCon event this year that I had been going about it the wrong way. I had shown up and I had fun stuff and I was talking to people and I was excited to see the fans and I had feather boas and all that stuff. And I even, after the first year, I realized, well, if I turn the table vertically instead of creating a barrier across the booth so that it's the spectators and me, nobody's a spectator. We're all participating in this. We're all in this together. If I open it this way, then everybody's in and mingling and talking to each other. And I don't necessarily have to be the one to say, have you seen this and have you tried that? And which one is your favorite character? Because people are having those conversations amongst themselves. They're making friends at my booth without me because I set it up in a way that it felt like a destination. And so that was working. I knew that was working, but I also felt there was something missing. And suddenly it occurred to me, I need to get them to sign the banners. I tell everybody who comes to my booth that if you're in my booth, you're a celebrity. I mean, we're both celebrities, darling. And everybody knows that celebrities are divas. So we all wear feather boas. Which color would you like? And then I have photographers who take our pictures, paparazzi, smile for them. And they're all saying, John, this way, I need to get another shot. Another, over here, John, over here. And so all of a sudden you feel like, a big deal. And it's fun and people are laughing and people are stopping as they're walking by and they're thinking, what the hell's going on over there? Because it's an event. It's an event inside the event. It's going on at my booth. What is that? It's going on at my booth in a way that isn't going on anywhere else. People are having a party and they are the guests of honor. And as I watched people signing, and I got a second banner, so I had you get it on television on one side, and I had the Care Bears on the other, and people were saying, "Oh, I love this," and "Oh, I love that," and he was signing. Well, sign both of them. Sign both. Walk around and here, sign here, and I'll stand on this side of you, and I'll put my rabbit fingers up behind you while you're getting your picture taken, and we'll laugh together for the camera. And I had 2 or 3 people taking pictures. And it was fun and layered and interesting and goofy and silly and high energy. And people stayed longer. And when they stay longer and they're looking at all the stuff, they get impulsive and they say, well, how much is that? And they're buying things. They're not buying things because, oh my God, it's the last piece in my collection. They're buying things as a souvenir of how much fun this day was with me, a Care Bear, a mom, a librarian, a troll, whatever I was to them in the past, I still am. But the most current memory is of the two of us. How is the traffic? Is it still raining outside? We're people together. We're having a real conversation. Because I got to tell you, when somebody comes up and they say, I really loved watching you. Well, thank you. That's the end of the conversation, because I can't say I love watching you too. That sounds creepy. So if we can talk about other things, if we can be people together, I'm wearing an orange boa. Do you want to be matchy-matchy, or do you want to wear the lime green one? Or, Darth Vader comes along and say, I think you need the business boa, the black and white one. It suits your temperament. Says something through that squawk box. Now we have a conversation that we can continue later. If I run into them, dashing through the trade show to go to the bathroom or get something to drink, and I see them and I burst out laughing and say, oh my God, we didn't get all the feather boa feathers. You got a feather boa. It becomes a current moment conversation that is more enduring on a personal level. It's not more enduring than the original memory, because the original memory is theirs to own. It's part of their whole fantasy world that nobody really has ever been inside with them, and it's precious to them. But now it's like with sprinkles on top, because now we're friends. Now we've met. Now, would you like my autograph? They say to me, and I say, oh, yes. And make it to Abby, would you? Or make it to Mom, or make it to Friend Bear. And they do. And they're laughing at the idea, because how crazy is that? So all of that, the grocery store owner, friends of mine who've left their jobs, retired early, other people who've said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's not going to be this. The people at the shows, the mood they were in, the awakening, the I'm here to have a good time again. It's different. And then in the midst of it, this silly thing with this museum. When I said, why are we in the exhibit? No. Why not? Well, we had criteria, very strict criteria. And what would that be? Enduring popularity and something and something and something. And I said, enduring popularity. Do you have any idea who you're talking to? Do you have any idea what this show was? And I listed everything. And the poor soul didn't know what to say, I am sure, and said, oh, I meant to say puppets. Okay. No, you didn't. I wrote enduring popularity, but I meant to write puppets. Okay. And I said to myself, you know what? I have an idea. I'm not pitching this book. I'm telling you the foundation of my idea. So, of the 25 people featured here, the majority were kids from the show. I also interviewed our producer. I interviewed the brilliant acting coach. And I interviewed other people who had been the same age as the kids on the show at the time, who I had taken under my wing and coached, who have gone on to be in the business or not. And I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to get their take on this phenomenon called fame. And I wanted to talk to them because I knew them. I wanted to have a conversation with them as grown-ups about, Garen said, I met a Care Bear and we're friends now. Well, Garen, you knew 3 to begin with, and then you met another one. 4 Karen. Most people would never admit to that. So when I was thinking about this odd kerfuffle with the museum and the fact that somebody had the brilliant idea of creating a legacy event for kids in Canada to come and see their favorite shows showcased and celebrated and cherished, I said to myself, so typically when a film is made, it's based on a book. Book, film, TV series, video game was traditionally, has always traditionally been the unfolding of the saga. And I said to myself, well, I wrote the book, didn't I? I've been featured in 2, 3 other documentaries about You Can't Fit on Television. One was technically about Nickelodeon. It's called The Orange Years. The reason that I say technically it was about Nickelodeon is that it was really about the decisions they made on the shows they picked to license and broadcast, because Nickelodeon is not a production facility. They don't make shows. They buy shows or they license shows. And we were the first show. We were the first big show. We actually put Nick on the map. So these lovely guys who did this documentary called The Orange Years, they came up to Ottawa at the time of my Fame book launch. So I launched Fame. I had a bunch of people from the book, from the show at the book launch. I had the Orange Years shooting insert sequences for their documentary, interviewing me, interviewing Kevin and Brenda and all that kind of stuff. And seeing the lockers and using the lockers, using all of us as their backdrop for a good portion of their film. And then a couple of other people. There's a lovely guy named Matthew Klickstein who did the oral history of You Can't Fit on Television. And he interviewed tons of us. And then there was another fellow who did You Can't Fit on Film. And we were interviewed about our take on things. And so I'm sitting there thinking about that in the wake of all these people shifting gears. And in the wake of me shifting gears in the way that I organized and set up and ran my booth in August. And I said to myself, you know who would be able to do a fairly interesting documentary on You Can't Fit on Television? You know who would be able to talk to the kids about things and get them to share stories that nobody knew? Do you know who has the unique ability to put on a yellow dish glove and remind people instantly of a silly, not entirely present housewife? You know what would be interesting about a documentary if I did it? It would largely be about the fans. We would do interviews with people who love the show. We would talk to them about why and hear their stories about what their parents used to say and what their friends used to do and how they would race home from school, or if they saw it on Saturday mornings, what their day was like. And we would create a community of people who made us the phenomenon we became. And we could interview people anywhere, couldn't we? Couldn't we? This way. And we could put it all together. And we could do the amalgamating at a very special location in Ottawa, Canada, because there is a theater there now that is called the Les Lie Memorial Theater. Seats about 300 people, I think. It's a wonderful theater. Wouldn't that be a great place to shoot live sequences and have a live studio audience? And wouldn't it be a great place to go back to for the premiere? Wouldn't it be interesting if I could find Les Lie's birthday and see if we couldn't coordinate it? And wouldn't it be interesting to reach out to all the very large names in entertainment and business and politics and soldiering and healthcare and construction, moms and dads now, and say, we need to hear from you. We need to see you. We need you in this documentary. Because somebody said, you can't do that on television. And it's because of you that we could and did. Wouldn't that be cool? That's what I was thinking. And so I reached out yesterday and talked to a friend of mine who used to own a video production company. And I have this list of other video producers that I know. And I have this list of audio guys and camera guys and production people and directors and everybody who does lighting and effects and all that stuff. I thought of that list and I said, I've never asked them for anything. I wonder if they'd be interested in helping me build this tribute. Not to us, to you. Wouldn't that be cool? That's my plan. And I might even invite the head of that museum. You know who's a huge fan of You Can't Do It on Television? The mayor of Ottawa. Anytime I ever saw him anywhere in public, he would say to the people he was with, when I was a little boy, I used to watch her on television. Shut up, Your Honor. The mayor. Oh, really? Yes. I even know some fairly high-ranking politicians who had very close proximity to our show. And a lot of really, really talented, funny, dynamic, hardworking, creative people who have over the years said, you changed the way I saw who I could be. Ta-da. So that's, I think, an extraordinary illustration of pivotry in motion. I think everything that I'm talking about today on this video, the way people are saying, yeah, you know what, check please. They're opting out of that and saying, not sure, but I'm ready to see what it's like this way. And they're pivoting. They're pivoting. Because two things have occurred to them. Right now, as it has hit them, they are saying, why am I doing this? Why do I keep doing this? It's not working for me. It is that bad. it's not good enough. Frankly, there are times when it sucks. Why am I doing this? Because it's familiar? Because I've always done it? That's crazy. And they're all gathering. They can, I do these Viking analogies, sometimes for fun, mostly because they're so true. You can smell the shifting wind. You can feel it, even without, licking your finger and sticking it there. You can feel when something is adjusting itself. Imagine the world is this big animal that's kind of, just shifting. And we're going, oh, what was that? Well, that's an earthquake, but something else is shifting. The people who are shutting down, closing in, getting angry, feeling resentment, that's all based on fear. Without realizing it, the back of their brain is saying, we just need to get further into the cave, get away from the opening. We need to hunker down. We need to make ourselves small. We need to. That's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. We build together. We grow together. We thrive together. And when somebody wants less and treats you badly, when someone puts down your genuine effort to help, like slapping away a hand, that's not the way it works. That's the way it breaks. I tried to say something helpful to someone the other day who replied by making fun of me, he thought. And so I just stopped. And it's his loss, because I won't do that again. We have so much to offer. All of us, all of you, all these lovely notes that you're making. Someday I will watch the Care Bears movies, hopefully with my grandniece and grandnephews. Yes, Freddie, they're lovely. They really are. They're very nostalgic. They're very sweet. And you know what? Sometimes we can use a bit of that. So my plan, as I'm writing Pivotry in Motion, things are coming up. And the question that I want to ask today, as I'm getting ready to wind up, is, what are you putting up with that is no longer necessary? Some things are necessary, and we say, well, I can make an exit strategy, but I can't just, leap out the window, run screaming down the stairs. I have to, erase my footy prints in the sand, and that's going to take a bit of time, but I have an exit strategy, and I can focus and I can be enthusiastic about the exit strategy, because that now is my excitement. That's the thing I'm leaning into. That's great. We do need to have, now what? And what if? If that doesn't work, now what are we going to do? What if we try this? We need to start giving ourselves permission to have those conversations. I was thinking about my friend Charles the other day, getting ready to sell and move. And the upheaval emotionally in all of it, that then, like little dust devils pull in other upsetting thoughts and feelings and whatnot. But the pivotal hard stuff is feeling that we must do this rather than we can't wait to do this. And when we get to a place where we create an opportunity to feel good about it, then we resent it less. Then we're excited. We're not excited while we're packing, because packing is exhausting, and packing involves sorting, getting rid of, packing, labeling. It's very tedious. However, if we can remember that we're doing it for us, if we're doing it for our next chapter, there will always be things we miss about places when we leave. Always. However, we can take those memories with us. They never leave us, the memories. And you know, on a beautiful day, before you go, take some pictures. Take memento pictures. Date them. This was the day I chose to take memory pictures, most current, and keep them safe. What we want to do is give ourselves permission to be excited about today, because every day is today. Every day is this moment. If we're not doing the thing we love, if we're not doing the thing that makes us feel valued and worthwhile, essential, cared about, respected, we're not living our best lives. No matter how small the jobs are, no matter how small the tasks are, if they give us a feeling of there, I'm pleased with that, that's a good day. I want to tell you, I've told this story before. I don't know if I've told it on the videos. Did a stage show once talking about everything that had gone wrong. Remarkably, it was only an hour. And I called the show, I Still Miss My Man, but My Aim Is Getting Better. And it won an award, actually, at a Fringe for comedy. And one of the things I did at the end was an exercise in perspective, because pivotry in motion, pivoting, looking over here and saying, oh, fresh perspective. I like the view from there. Let's turn the chair so I can see that more often. Perspective is the way we see the world. It's not fixed, because we can do this with our heads. Perspective is also a mindset. It's something we believe to be true. The fact is this, and I'm leading into the moment in the show. I'm sort of near the end of the show. When we're born, the brain we have, the cave brain that keeps us alive, doesn't know anything about us. That brain can't think thoughts. That brain only recognizes images. It can't understand words. It doesn't compute negativity. If you say, I never want to see this again, all it knows is this again, and so it the cave brain brings you the thing you just talked about. It has no understanding about you on a value scale. You are simply the being it is tasked with keeping alive and well. So if that's the only brain we have at the time, and the next brain, the midbrain, can think, but it has to learn everything it thinks about. It has no opinion of us either. It doesn't know anything about us. It has had no opportunity to value, rate, judge anything we do. It's busy figuring out, what do you call this? And how do we do that? The third brain, this part, only develops in our late teens, prefrontal cortex, cause and effect. If I do this, then that's going to happen. It's not around. So I want to leave you with this, not leave you, because I have two things to say. If this brain has no opinion and no set of experiences it can use to rate our value, and if this brain has no experience prior of us and what we do, and is only learning basic things, is not ready to begin to value whether things are good, bad, indifferent, small, big, wet, crooked. It doesn't know any of these things. If those are the only brains we have, where do we get the idea that we're not worthy? Where do they get the idea, we get the idea that we're not good enough? Where do we get the idea that we should feel ashamed or feel guilty or feel useless? Where would those ideas come from if they didn't come from us? They came from someone else. And if, as small children, we looked up to that someone else as knowing everything because they're big and they've been here first, and they're the alpha in our tribe, then we wouldn't question what they say about us. We wouldn't question how they refer to us. We wouldn't begin to imagine in a kabillion years that they could be wrong, that they could be projecting the way they feel about them or the way they feel about something else, and they say it to us. We have no way to even understand that that's possible. So if we weren't born believing it, thinking it, responding to it, if it was imposed upon us by people who may have it wrong, who may not even know they're doing it, how crazy would it be if we lived our whole lives by telling ourselves that story every day? If we told that story and that story kept us stuck, if that story kept us believing that we should be grateful for anything, no matter how small, how crazy that we would never stop to say, I don't feel that way. This is a pivot moment. We get to say, well, what if I turn and look at it the way Abby's talking? If I wasn't born knowing it, and they weren't born knowing it, how do I know they didn't get it wrong? If it's my story, I get to rewrite it. I don't have to believe that I'll only amount to that. I don't have to believe that. That story may not be true. Maybe I've been hanging on to it, telling myself it's true, to keep me from growing and thriving. What if it's not true? What if this is my best day and this is my best life? I should be living it. I should be making a plan to do that. Isn't that interesting? So here's the story. At the end of the show, I had this beautiful wine glass, and I had practiced it at home to make sure I could get it right. I had this beautiful wine glass, and I had bought the same beautiful long-stemmed, same design, little sherry glass. And I had poured apple juice into the sherry glass right to the brim. And then I had poured the apple juice into the wine glass. And I put the sherry glass down so it wasn't immediately visible. And I'm on stage, and I picked up the glass in front of the audience toward the end of the show. And I looked at it and I said, there are people who say when they see a glass like this, that it's half full. And there are people who look at the same glass and say it's half empty. And I said, I have a different take on the whole thing. And I switched, and I pulled out the little empty sherry glass. And I poured the apple juice into the sherry glass. And I held the sherry glass up, and it was right full to the brim. And I said, I think it tastes better in a full glass. And I drank it, and I put it down, and I said, thank you for coming. And I walked off the stage. It's our perspective. I deserve to drink out of a bigger glass. Sure you do. Tastes really good when the glass is full, though. Our lives feel really great when we feel fulfilled. So, if, like Charles, you're changing your life by moving, if, like others I know, have changed their lives by switching careers, it's all for you, and it's all for your best state of mind. It's all so that we all can feel the ripple effects coming from you. That feeling, instead of, oh, what's going on? The ripple is, I'm walking here. Because when you do it, we do it too. It's a lot to think about today. Last thing before we go. As Garen said, 89 subscribers. I had 79 subscribers, and 2 days later, I had 89 subscribers. The minute I switched over to YouTube. Oh, that's how that works. When I was doing the videos on the other platform, I had like 130 views. And the reason, I think, is proximity. It's right there. I'm not getting that many yet here on YouTube. It's brand new. It's only been, this is the third video, episode 3 on YouTube. So it's exciting. We're inching up on 100 because I had 80 over there. So 83. It's exciting. We are really getting somewhere with this. And it's all because of you. We can get there faster, and we can get there in a great big bunch if you tell your friends and share the link and invite them to subscribe the way you did, so that we can really get something happening here. Tell your friends that I'm also working on this idea of a documentary. Equal parts famous and fans, because you can't have one without the other. And if they were fans of You Can't Do That on Television, I'm going to need to talk to them if they've got a great, silly, funny story about what it used to mean, or a sad and sweet, any story, and what it used to mean, and what it means now. I think we're going to make something magical together. So I'll be back on Thursday with more cool stuff. I'm glad you approve You can finally see me. It's clear. It's not stopping and stuttering. I'm actually in focus. You can see. You can see me, and we'll have more to discuss and more to share and more to think about. And I'll get to read all these lovely comments that I haven't been able to really split myself in two and focus on and see what you were all up to. Thank you for watching. It's the best part of it, that you're watching and commenting. Be good to you. Think about your focus. Think about feeling good. Think about your stepping stones and let me know what they are. Write a comment afterwards. Don't forget to hug your loved ones. See you in 2 days.